In this video, I'm going to go over writing the introduction to your final paper. The goal of the introduction is to get your reader interested to read the rest of the paper. We aren't writing long, interesting papers with twists at the end. What we want to do is lay out what the paper is about, why it's an important topic, and what the paper is going to argue really clearly in the introduction. And so the introduction can be guided by a few simple questions. And so I'm going to keep working on my paper about health insurance, levels of health insurance across counties. And I think you can adapt sort of the structure I use to any of the topics for the final paper. One thing I'll note as I sort of work through these videos, I'm a really big fan of outlining. Whenever I'm writing a paper myself, I always start with just a really bare bones outline, and I keep filling in more and more details. And what I'm really doing is just throwing thoughts on the paper. I'm not worried about initially sort of the grammar or complete sentences. I'm just getting ideas down because I know I can go back and flesh things out and get it closer to the writing that I'll want as I continue to go. One thing I've learned as I've continued to write and practice is that the difference between good writing and bad writing isn't so much the skill of the writer, it's the editing. And whenever I'm writing a new paper, I edit and I edit and I edit and I work through it 20 or 30 times. I'm not expecting that from you, but that's just a note. I'm not going to be writing fully formed sentences as I'm sort of fleshing this out. This is sort of a first go where I'm getting the information and showing you my process. But so when I'm starting a new introduction, a few questions are going to motivate me to write it. And so for the introduction, we'll pull down a bullet list. So I might want to think about, has anything interesting happened with my subject, with health insurance? Has anything interesting happened with poverty in the United States? Has anything interesting happened with election turnout? All right. But so has anything interesting happened with health insurance? Is health insurance increasing or decreasing? Have any new laws related to health insurance passed? And so these are questions that I might use to sort of begin my search for information to put in the introduction. And so some of these I don't know the answer to right off of the bat. And so I might have to go to Google and try to find sources that will help me understand whether health insurance is increasing or decreasing, whether health insurance rates. See, we had it. Are health insurance rates increasing or decreasing? And so I might just ask Google that question. Are health insurance or decreasing in the United States? And some of this information isn't answering my question. So some of these top answers are about sort of the cost of health insurance. This is obviously related, but it isn't answering it. Here, this link seems to be answering my question. And I can see that in the preview. So I open this up in a new link. Whenever you're looking through Google, you have to judge your sources. And so this is coming from the US Census, which is a big survey that collects information on the entire United States. And so I know whatever they're reporting is going to be based on good information. And so I can just see, just sort of skimming this, 8.6% of people don't have health insurance. So between 2018 and 2020, rate of private health insurance decreased. So I'm getting some answers, right? Are health insurance rates increasing or decreasing? Fewer people are insured than in 2020. I can also pull the number about what percentage of people don't have health insurance. In 2020, 8.6% of people didn't have health insurance. And some of these questions I do have sort of answers to without sort of having to Google it, right? Obamacare, ACA, Obamacare was passed to increase health insurance rates. When was it passed? I don't know that offhand. 2009 was Obamacare passed. 2009 was my best guess. 2010 passed in 2010 to increase health insurance rates. Is there anything interesting about health insurance? Well, one thing that might be notable is the United States, the only developed Western country without national health insurance. And so I'm beginning to get sort of the fleshing out of, again, this is a 2-paragraph introduction. And what you want the reader to walk away with is this is an important topic. And you also want them to have the background to be able to read the rest of the paper, understand what you're studying and what's sort of important about it. And so I'm beginning to get this sort of structure. And so I'm sort of answering these queries. And so I might go back and sort of start again. Right. So the United States relies on private health insurance more than other developed nations, being the only one without a national insurance plan. As a result, 8.6% of people did not have health insurance in any form in 2020. And I will want to cite this as the census. And this is a report from 2021. And I'll want to get the full information for my citation at the end. Insurance rates have been declining recently. Health insurance is important for people to be healthy. I'm starting to, right, and so I'm going to need to keep going back and get more information and continue to flesh this out. The last paragraph, how I want to end my introduction, is by answering this question: what does the paper show? And a really easy way to sort of start that paragraph is with, in this paper, I study, and this is, I study blank. You can fill in whatever you study. In this paper, I study health insurance rates at the county level across the United States. In it, I argue, and this I can't finish, because I don't know what my paper shows. I might show that areas with more poverty have higher health insurance. I might show that the number of nonprofits in a county increases health insurance rate. I don't know what the paper is going to show yet. And so it's important for me, I'm not going to be able to finish the introduction until the paper's done. But I want to put in the introduction exactly what the paper ends with. There's a lot of repetition in a good scientific paper because you're being really clear to the reader about what you're going to argue. There should be no surprises. And so I want to finish my introduction by giving them essentially a summary. Um, but to some degree, this is the structure of the introduction. You're putting in some information about your topic. You're putting in a few key facts and interesting tidbits about whatever you're studying, and then you're summarizing what you do. So that's the introduction. In the next video, I'll talk about the literature review and keep moving through the paper. And once this paper is done, I'll put it on the course website for everyone to see.